Hello there. This is my friend Lily.
Hello.
And we are in Charleston this weekend for the YALLfest, which some of you guys may have heard about. It's a big book signing event with a bunch of young adult fiction writers, and you basically wait in line for hours to get your book signed by them, which is fun. And so we wanted to tell you the story of today. We met James Dashner, who wrote. We should have a copy of one of his books.
I'll go get mine. Do you want me to get mine?
No, it's okay. He wrote the Maze Runner series, which everyone pretty much knows what that is. And Lily is a big fan of the star of the Maze Runner movies, based off of the books. Who is, what is his name? Dylan O'Brien. Lily is the future Mrs. O'Brien.
I am.
And so we waited in line for 4 hours today to meet James. But it was worth it because we had a really good story of meeting him. So, Lily, explain why you wanted to meet James. Like, what was the goal of meeting James today?
The goal of meeting James today was to get a little bit closer to Dylan O'Brien.
Yeah. It was all just
I mean, I love
the
books,
guys
but
to meet Dylan O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily we had an in because my little sister found out that her co-op teacher, one of my mom's friends, Jennifer, grew up next door to Jamie Dashner, as she called him, Jamie. And so Jennifer left this message on my phone, and she told us to play it for Jamie, and it explains how he meant so much to her, and he was nice to her when she was a new girl in town, and made her feel welcome, and they spent a whole summer together hanging out at her house. And so we were waiting in line, and we were so we were going to meet Jamie. So they gave us these little Post-it notes that you could decide what you wanted to write on the inside of your books.
Yeah.
And so Lily,
I took my Post-it note and I put to Lily, and then in parentheses I put insert Dylan O'Brien's phone number here.
It's a good idea, because then when we got inside, we had our books and we were ready to get line, and we were kind of freaking out because we were waiting for 4 hours. We got there at 11, and the book signing wasn't until 3. And there was a line of hundreds and hundreds of people behind us. We were in the very front of the line, and there were at least 200 people behind us, maybe 300.
Probably more.
And they were all making this sound that we call the fangirl laugh, which sounds like and everyone does that the whole 4 hours. We were sitting there hearing this hissing of and finally we saw him. And he walked up and he waved, and everyone was waving at him, and they were all James, because they've been waiting for 4 hours, and they were really hyper at that point. And so we went in line, we went into the store, and he was sitting there, and Lily handed him her book, and I'm oh my gosh, I know this girl that you grew up next to, Jennifer, and he immediately was oh, Jenny, what? I had such a crush on her, and we're just and then it's you know who Lily has a crush on? And then he opens the book.
And he looks at the Post-it, and he puts to Lily in the book, and then he starts to sign his name, and then he just stops, and he sees what I wrote in the parentheses, and he just
insert Dylan O'Brien's phone number here in the book.
He just looks up and he's Lily? Lily?
We all know the reason why you're here today, and it's not for me, it's for Dylan. But we did talk to him about her crush. And he assured us that Dylan O'Brien is a very nice, sweet boy who loves his parents and is very polite, he said. He approved of their marriage, which is good because you really want Jamie Dashner's approval of your marriage. And basically we were out of there in 2 minutes after waiting for 4 hours.
But it was worth it.
And we were on a high for the rest of the day, screaming about what colors they would have for their wedding. She's got a Pinterest board. And one day when she becomes Dylan O'Brien's wife and all of you guys are really jealous, you'll know that she's just a nerdy fangirl like yourselves. And then you'll feel he really went with someone, worthy. Not just some kind of Hollywood person. So that's the story of how I met James Dashner, just to assure you that we are fangirls too. Now we're gonna go to bed so we can wake up at 4 a.m. to meet Veronica Roth.
Bye.
Bye.